The spirit of competition. I like that it's snowing. It's a pretty and simple way to show that time has passed. I never realized Korra is using this water tank looking thing to bend her water from. I guess I always just assumed it was gonna be a bucket or something, because that's like, wouldn't that be easier?
It's been great having you at so many back-to-back practices, Korra.
Although Tarlok isn't too happy about my leave of absence.
Remember how last time I brought up the Korra misses practice counter? Well, I'm not gonna bother doing a Korra misses the task force counter because we literally never see her working for Tarlok's task force again. Yeah, last episode was the only time she ever worked with him, and I think it's weird. Why set up the idea that Korra would be working with them just to immediately abandon the concept? Not that I'm necessarily saying it would have been better if she stuck around with them. I do think focusing more on the pro bending tournament is not only more fun, since she gets to hang out with the brothers more, but also just a generally more entertaining story concept for me. Oof, this is it. This is the episode. The thing that most people rag on for season 1 of Korra. The romance. Generally, the love triangle shenanigans don't bother me too much, but this episode is probably the most egregious when it comes to it. I'll go into the specifics as the episode goes on.
You look great, champ.
Here we are, all alone in the gym.
I gotta head back to the air temple to train with Tenzin. See ya!
So, with my episode 3 review, I mentioned Korra's weirdness when it came to her crush on Mako, and I got a lot of comments theorizing she might be acting this way because she has subpar social skills, due to living trapped with the White Lotus all her life. And I can definitely understand that to some degree. However, I do think her obliviousness crosses a line here when it comes to her behavior towards Mako and Asami, and Bolin's obvious flirting with her. Subpar social skills or not, she's not entirely disconnected from empathy. There should be a point when she realizes how her actions would affect the boys. This scene where the brothers discuss what potential Korra has as a girlfriend has always stood out to me for how well written it is. Also, always make sure to love yourself as much as Bolin loves himself.
She's beautiful? I'm gorgeous!
Similarly to the boys' scene, I also always really loved this talk between Korra and the airbending girls. I not only love seeing the three being able to just have a conversation, one that still highlights their unique personalities and is generally funny, but I also love how it shows that Korra does really get along with the airbender family in general. It's been pretty easy to overlook the airbender kids so far, or even just find them kind of annoying. This was the first episode where I really started to see the girls as actual characters and not just gags. Not to mention we get Best Girl Pema! Woo! Although I do admit she gives some of the shittiest dating advice I have ever heard.
But watching my soulmate spend his life with the wrong woman became too painful.
So, I understand what she's trying to say, but she words it in the worst way possible. If you see someone in a relationship and you realize they're not really compatible or fully happy with their partner, then I understand talking to them about it. However, Pema doesn't imply this was the case at all. Instead, she makes it sound like she just butt into his relationship to try to steal him away. Knowing he was dating Lin at the time, it makes me inclined to believe it was likely that the two weren't really that happy together in a relationship, but still, Pema does not go into enough detail to fully explain when you do or don't cross a line with these sorts of things. Something Korra has to learn the hard way this episode. We get to see some more pro bending finally. It feels like it's been ages. Though I will admit, this match is a little lackluster. I think we spend a few too many shots just watching the fire ferrets launching attacks, but we hardly actually see where any of their hits land on any of their opponents. And it's finally happening.
Asami and I are...
Look, I really like you, and I think we were meant for each other.
Okay, I have some real issues here. First of all, Korra, You barely know this guy. She ditches practice all the time, and they don't hang out outside of pro-bending stuff, other than that one time they hunted down Bolin. Now, I'm not sure how long they've actually been friends in universe, maybe a couple of months, but from our perspective of the audience, this is only episode 5. She didn't even meet the Fire Ferrets until episode 2, and spent all of episode 4 ignoring them to do her task force shit. You think you're meant for each other, you're practically strangers. And bouncing back to Korra having poor social skills, I can understand having a big crush for the first time could be tripping her up really bad. Potentially, she's never even felt this way towards anyone before, and might not understand the difference between love and a crush. I can understand that, but I can't forgive the fact that Korra has been complete trash towards Mako.
Oh, you're still here?
Oh, you're still a jerk?
You're the Avatar, and I'm an idiot.
Both are true.
Avatar, Korra?
Yeah, been a real pleasure.
Deal with it.
You deal with it.
Ooh! Oh!
Mako told me so much about you.
Really? Because he hasn't mentioned you at all.
Why would anyone want to date you when you treat them like this all the time?
Avatar Korra has arrived in Republic City. She's only had eyes for one fella, Mako. The feeling seemed mutual.
Betrayer.
And hammering home what I was saying earlier about Pema, Mako and Asami seem to be in a very loving relationship. Everything we've seen between them, they seem super happy together. Korra comes across as an attempted homewrecker rather than a love-struck romantic.
You and me, we could go get some dinner together, sort of a date situation. You're the smartest, funniest, toughest, buffest, talentedest, incrediblest girl in the world.
Now, importantly, I don't see anything wrong with Korra immediately rebounding with Bolin. She's just been torn apart emotionally, and Bolin is a fun guy. What I don't like is how badly she leads him on. Bolin makes it completely apparent he has a huge crush on her. It's not just the way he looks at her and his compliments towards her, he just outright admits his feelings.
I felt that way since the moment I saw you.
Korra should have been open about the fact she wasn't romantically interested in him. If she wanted to have fun with a friend, she should have made it clear to him that that's what she was going for. And during their date, I can't even convince myself that Korra is oblivious to Bolin's true feelings. Again, he's completely blatant about how he feels. Korra might be socially inept, but she's not brain dead. She would have to be completely emotionally detached to not understand how Bolin feels. So it's either she's a complete idiot or uncaring. Neither of these are a very good look for her.
Oh, well, if it isn't the Fire Ferrets.
Let us all now bask in the glory that is Rami Malek. Rami is absolutely fantastic as an actor, and he crushes it as Tano. Rami's stellar performance makes Tano so much more memorable compared to other minor characters we see throughout the series. The way he pronounces it, Avatar.
Especially you, Avatar.
He has this slimy yet cool demeanor. Tano oozes personality, and Rami perfectly brings that to life with his performance. 10 out of 10.
Wait a sec. You're jealous. You do have feelings for me.
What? Jealous? Don't be ridiculous.
Okay, so earlier I could convince myself maybe Mako was just worried about his little brother being strung along, but this implies that, yeah, Mako is jealous, and this just makes everything so unnecessarily uncomfortable and shitty. This spat implies that Mako would only be interested in Korra since she started showing interest in someone else, also implying he would be stringing Asami along. But also, it implies Mako doesn't care that his little brother's emotions are being toyed with. Instead, he only cares that a girl he thinks is cute is talking to someone other than him. How can one episode just make me hate these characters so quickly? This isn't fun love triangle shenanigans, this is just really shitty behavior that uncaring people do. They're not confused teens trying to figure themselves out, they're purposefully stringing others along just to fuck around with the emotions of each other. Taking a step Back from that, narratively, I like how Korra and Mako start playing worse during the tournament because there's issues between them. It's not like an original concept or anything, but it displays the progression of the plot well enough, and keeps the pro-bending matches exciting. This is also the first time they establish how the tiebreakers work, and it's cool that they set it up here so that they can play around with the idea later in the tournament. Establishment is what makes storytelling good.
I also think you're pretty amazing.
You do like me?
Yes, but I like Asami too. Confused and Great! Look what you did!
The fact that Korra doesn't even seem to fucking care how heartbroken Bolin is just hammers home how awful this whole plot point is. I'm bouncing back to what I was saying earlier. Korra knowing when she's crossing a line. Whether she is oblivious to Bolin's feelings or not, she should at least give a shit that her actions caused Bolin so much grief. Instead, she just tries to pin the blame on Mako.
You're blaming me?
You kissed me!
You kissed me back!
This is just really bad characterization for someone to have. This is as if Korra is saying, well, it's your fault Bolin is sad because I tried telling you I liked you first. If you just admitted to liking me right away, then I wouldn't have had to make you jealous. All this series of events has done is make me really dislike our main cast. I feel bad for Bolin and Asami getting dragged into this drama. I feel like Mako is a two-timer, insistent on staying with Asami, but also doesn't want Korra dating anyone else other than potentially him later. So he's just stringing both girls along. And it makes me think Korra is this heartless bitch who manipulated Bolin to make Mako jealous. It feels like she doesn't care if Bolin gets hurt, so long as Mako still stays interested in her. I don't want to root for characters who are this manipulative, heartless, and argumentative.
You're not my brother. You're a brother betrayer.
Like, did Nickelodeon think this was funny? Did they think this would make me more endeared toward these characters? It's not like the romance in Last Airbender was stellar or anything, but it was never this bad.
I told you dating a teammate was a bad idea.
Fuck you! You should have told your brother Korra confessed to you! Fuck! No, my God! So since everything is shitty between the team, they're playing like ass in the tournament.
Oh, and a blatant hold by the Avatar. Unnecessary roughness.
I'll unnecessarily rough you!
You're the worst avatar ever.
Well, I guess there's always next year.
Come on, we still have a chance, even if it is a slim one.
What are you acting all hopeful for? You're the one roughing up the ref and ditching practices. You're in no position to play the inspirational quarterback here.
Are we gonna be alright?
Of course we are. We're brothers.
Yeah, sure. This was all they needed to make amends over what's happened, if you fucking say so.
What an unbelievable effort here by Korra.
What? No, put that inspirational music away. No, I don't want to root for Korra. No, this should be a team effort. They should all make amends and win as a team together to show that they're all gonna make an effort together and to be more open and honest and no!
It's the big kabod!
What a bullshit ending. Having Korra pull a victory out of her ass was dumb. They set up in the earlier fights that they worked best in the first one because their teamwork was off the charts. They were all gelling happily together and were friends. Then the more they were at odds during the episode, the more the team struggled with pro-bending. So to just chalk it all up to, and then Korra magically gets the victory, undermines the concept that the story they were setting up. Teamwork and making amends was what should have saved the day. This victory doesn't feel earned. Korra really hasn't given much of a shit about pro-bending all season. She's mostly just been doing it as a fun pastime to learn bending techniques. The only one who's talked about making it to the finals has been the boys. So for Korra to pull this "we can do it" mantra at the very end feels like it's coming out of left field. And not only does it feel unearned, but I'm still mad at this character. I don't want to root for Korra. I don't want to cheer her on. I'm still mad at how she's been treating the boys all episode. This didn't fix anything.
That was pretty much the coolest thing I've ever seen.
But I hope we can still be friends.
Definitely.
And like, this was it. All that fighting and going behind each other's backs and making everyone jealous gets about 4 sentences worth of, hey, are we still cool? At the end. No! I want a real fucking apologies. You can't make Bolin cry his heart out like this and then expect me to think this half-assed apology was all they needed to fix their friendship.
Ow!
Relax, I'm a healer. I learned from Katara, the best there is.
Real talk, I don't really remember Korra ever healing anyone else ever again after this. Also, bitch, if you're such a healer, why did you just grab his shoulder at first? Just fucking slap your man hands all up on his obvious wound. Oh, I'm a healer. Just wanted to see how bad you can make him scream before you actually get the water in your hands first. If you learned from the best, you'd think the first lesson would be don't slap the fucking injuries. Shout out to Korra, just straight up dropping all of the water onto the floor. Alright, so obviously I don't like this episode. This might be my least favorite episode in the entirety of season 1. And it's not just because of the love triangle stuff. It's how mean-spirited the love triangle is. It paints Korra and Mako in such a bad light, and that's hard to find excuses to help justify their issues. They just make such mean decisions and do practically nothing to reconcile them in the end. Also, on top of all that, this sort of plot doesn't feel earned. Let's compare this to an episode from Last Airbender, and I think it's a pretty similar concept to this one, the fortune teller. Just in case I need to jog your memory, this episode has the gang stumble upon a town that puts a ton of faith into their local fortune tellers' prophecies. During the episode, Aang is at his most flirtatious and open about his crush on Katara. Meanwhile, the fortune teller's assistant has a big crush on Aang, and Katara is mostly just obsessed with getting her fortune told over every little thing she does. That episode was the 14th episode of season 1. There was 14 episodes worth of character growth and friendship establishment between Aang and Katara by this moment. While Aang's crush was hinted at before now, those 13 prior episodes spent most of its time just having the two being friends and getting along and developing together. They had several heart-to-hearts by this point, so the idea of Aang trying to take the plunge and ask Katara out made sense by now. This is only episode 5 of Korra. Like I said, she's barely spent any time with these boys. At most, the three of them have shown interest in getting to know each other better, but having them burst into big confessions feels trite and forced. Oh, but they're teenagers, and teens are more romantically active than kids like Aang and Katara are. Well, that's not a very good narrative excuse. By this point, Korra has spent more time being pissed at Mako than actually showing any real friendship. The other thing with the fortune teller is that it displays the idea of a love triangle without anyone getting hurt. Aang is just trying to get the confidence to ask Katara out. He's not trying to steal her away from someone else like how Korra is. Korra doesn't seem to give Mako's happiness a second thought. She doesn't care if he seems happy with Asami, and it makes her come across as selfish. Not to say anything about how uncaring she is towards Asami in general. Hell, Korra doesn't actually say anything to Asami until the very end of this episode. Korra doesn't give a shit about how Asami and Mako are in their relationship, and I really just don't like rooting for a character who comes across as so cruel. And I generally try to avoid certain spoilers in these reviews, but when it comes to the romance aspect, I think I need to address how it plays out in the future seasons. All of this mess involving their stupid love triangle feels so shallow and worthless in the long run. After this episode, Bolin never shows any romantic interest in Korra ever again. He doesn't have to learn to accept that she doesn't reciprocate his feelings, he just completely loses that part of his personality. And it's weird because at this point, that's kind of been his only personality when it comes to Korra, at least. It's been endless flirting and pining for the 4 episodes we've known him so far. So for him to just completely give up on his feelings makes Bolin's attitude feel vapid.
You know what I'm talking about, Pabu. Talking about real love.
Apparently not, because you completely give up on this topic instantly. Beyond the stupid love shit, the rest of the episode is just not very good either. There's 1 or 2 fun facial expressions and gags, but for the most part it's kind of a lazy episode. The animation isn't really very good, especially during the pro-bending. There's a lot of emphasis on the slow motion shots, so they have less to animate, not even giving us a real background at times. And I'm fine with animators cutting corners when they can, can, but it doesn't seem like that effort went anywhere else in this episode. And as I mentioned, the plot of the episode kind of just rushes to a half-assed conclusion in the end. They just pull a win out of nowhere and try to band-aid the emotional turmoil they had throughout the episode. It all feels extremely lazy and rushed, and it doesn't even get touched on in the next episode. Really just making this one feel like a complete waste of time and animation effort. The only good thing about this episode was that we got to meet Tano. It's a shame that they had such a terrible flop of an episode so early on, and after such good episodes too. But at least we've got that down and out of the way. Next, we can move forward with our characters and plot. So, I hope I'll see you there.
I don't know if she's really girlfriend material. She's more like a pal.
Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
I asked you first.
I asked you second.
Let's see how this goes.
This is hard to watch. You're so excited.
Will you go out with me, YN?
Oh, for me? She's like writing out a restraining order. Fuck! Okay, great.
Damn it! Son of a bitch! What am I doing wrong?
Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Trey Not Dre, Sunny Shy, Great Bar, Pentamenta, Jake, Storm, Amber, Livid Aries, Hype Man, Luno, Zero to Hero, Keithan Coleman, Isaiah, Josh, and Joseph. So yeah, if you like this episode, let me know if you liked this episode. If you do like it, tell me why. If you have issues, tell me why. Let's try to be civil in the comments. I know shipping stuff can get out of hand sometimes, but what do you think about how this episode tried to tackle the concept of the love triangle? Why is Tano the best character? Any and all thoughts and opinions you have about this review or this episode or Korra in general, leave them in the comments below. I love to see them. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.